All right. Hello, everyone. It is absolutely a beautiful day for sure. I am so pleased to be here with you today, and I'm so honored to be moderating this session here for my great friend and colleague, Jennifer Rhodes. For those of you that I haven't had the opportunity to meet, my name is Greg Voller, and I'm honored to serve on the ACMP Board of Directors. And as I said, I'll be the moderator for Jennifer's session, which is entitled Trust, the Most Important Element to Successful Change. Before we begin, I'd love to remind you of a few things so you get the most out of your Global Connect experience. For those of you that have participated in some of our sessions already, you've heard all of this. So I'll just put a little bit of a new spice into this to the extent I can. First and foremost, the video bundle. It is an absolute fantastic value for you to just keep the learning going. And you'll have the opportunity to access recordings from this event on the event website for the next 2 weeks. And if you'd like to access the education for a longer period of time, make sure to add a video bundle onto your registration then as well too. So it's a great way, again, to keep the learning going. Okay. There's also learning from our bookstore and some great perspectives and some great viewpoints that are shared in a variety of different publications and viewpoints. So you can order many books from many of our speakers in the Global Connect bookstore. If you have not yet had the opportunity to visit that virtual bookstore, please encourage you to do so. Okay. And then just in this whole continued spirit of learning, do not miss the on-demand sessions, which you can watch anytime at your leisure during the conference by clicking the on-demand tab. And just remember too that all of the live sessions that we're having will be available for viewing in the on-demand function 2 hours after the live session completes then as well too. I'm loving to see folks coming in. Hello from all parts of the world, Canada, Florida, New Zealand. Good morning, Nigel. That's awesome. So team, in terms of how we're going to conduct a dialogue here, certainly I know Jennifer is going to spark your thinking and prick your conscience a little bit. So we're going to do it this way. So when you have questions for Jennifer, enter them in the Q&A feature within Zoom, and we're going to address them more towards the end of the session. But hey, you're going to have some great engagement time with Jennifer throughout the session then as well too. So it'd be very much an interactive dialogue as well too. And then we have the chat capability going on here as well too, as many of you are noting there as well too. Hey, Canada, Hamburg, Netherlands, all parts of the world being spoken for here then as well too. All right, so with that build up, really here does become the most significant build up. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for this session, Jennifer Rhodes. Jennifer is the leading principal at Markham Ventures, a niche consulting firm providing business consulting and advisory services focused on strategic planning, business transformation, and leadership coaching. Jennifer is a senior change management executive with 2 decades of broad experience across both private and public sectors, including a Fortune 500 international firm, global consultancy, nonprofits, and think tanks. And I'm so pleased to note that Jennifer served as a colleague of mine and others on the ACMP Global Board of Directors and offering tremendous insights, caring, perspectives, and leadership, specifically in many ways, but it's including building our DEI statement and shaping and forming our Council of Advisors. So with that, team, we are in for a great treat today. Welcome, Jennifer, and thank you all for being with us today. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Greg. All right, we're going to do that transfer of sharing screen. So if you'll hold on one moment, we'll get to my presentation. All right. Okay, you should be able to see the presentation now. Great. Thank you. So I'm very excited to be with you today to share at our conference. This to me is just the premier conference for change management. So it's really exciting to be with you today. Welcome, welcome. We're going to look forward to this kind of conversation where we're going to be able to share, have good discourse back and forth, learn from each other, the different perspectives that we have to share, And this presentation, I built it really for the beginner level, for someone who is new to change management. It's on the professional growth track, but it's really something that I feel is a subject that we all can learn from at any level. It's something that we can be reminded about an idea or a practice of the behavior. So I just want to be sure that I put that out there at the very beginning. But first, let's move on to that speaker disclaimer. There it is. These are my own views, but I do have significant research that I pulled together to build this presentation, and I've noted that at the end of the slides for you to do further learning if you'd like to on your own. But first, I want to start off our session with a story. So please gather around, get comfortable. If it's early in the morning, cozy up to your coffee. If it's late in the evening, thank you for staying up. Get comfy for a good story here. It's called, Is This Going to Work? Is this going to work? No one knew. No one in the front knew. No one in the audience knew. Only one man knew, and he was in the far back of the conference room. I could only see the glint of light bouncing off of his glasses in the back. My heart was beating like 1,000 miles a minute. With sweaty palms, I stepped up to the podium at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. Willing for an answer, a nod, a sign of anything from Steve in the back, I started a presentation introducing some new software to the Washington, D.C. marketplace. I was about a month and a half into a new job, and this firm had taken on a new software. We were pure novices at the software. But nonetheless, we were asked to host this event. We were asked to fill the room with current clients, new clients, and the software was having its first unveiling at this DC event. It was sold out, a multi-hour workshop event. The stakes were high for all involved. My CEO and founder had just left the stage, and I was up next to explain the software and how it works. Only it wasn't working when I just stepped off the stage. Did I stumble? No. Did I choke on stage? No. Did I stall for time? No. With confidence, I continued on. I set the stage with credibility by outlining what the problems were that the software was going to solve. I was sharing proof stories of where it was already working for the Wall Street Journal, Morgan Stanley, Dow Jones, the Financial Times. And with faith and trust in my software partner, when it was time to do the demonstration, I looked to the back to Steve, and he came through. Presto, the software worked. It took the spotlight, and the headlines were positive out of the press club that day. How did we get there? Reliability, dependability, confidence, faith, and trust. In today's presentation, we're going to learn about trust and why it's so important to build trust before moments of challenge, before moments of chaos or crisis, and most especially before any change. All right, guys, that was the story. We're going to start by diving into these learning objectives. And this is our guide. This is our roadmap for today's session. I've broken it into 3 main parts. You can see here, we've got our trust basics. That's the section where we're going to define what trust is. We're going to look at its 3 subcomponents. I've kind of broken it out into capability of trust, character of trust, and communication of trust, 3 C's by the Reynas. And then we're going to transition into trust for change. That's where we're going to talk about how we understand trust as an economic driver. And in that section, I'm going to give you some business statistics that you can put into your business case for change, right? We all have to put forward a change management case where we talk to our executives and say, we need more resources, we need more budget, we need more time. And this will be a piece that you can add into your business case for change, and why it's important for you to give some lead time for building time for trust into that change management plan. So stay tuned for that session. We're also going to move into excelling at trust. And that's how we're going to learn more about how to build trust into your leadership skills, into your change culture, and also what to do if there's a breach of trust. If there's a breach of trust that you experience as an individual, or if you're a leader and there's a breakdown of trust in your team. All right, guys, that's the presentation that we're headed for today. I hope you'll join me, and let's move on. All right, trust basics. The question I'm going to ask you, and Greg, if you can help monitor this, I'm going to ask you this question. What is the color of trust? So please take some time, drop your answer into chat. And Greg, if you can monitor and let me know what's coming up, I'll give a little bit of time. But as you're putting your answer in, I just want to let you know throughout this presentation, I've left a little bit of Easter eggs, little symbols of trust are peppered into this presentation. So I'm going to challenge you to see if you can find them all. You can reach to me on LinkedIn or through my contact information on the platform, or at the end of the presentation. Let me know how many, which ones that you've found. It's just a little game we can play to make it playful throughout this presentation. Okay, Greg,
All right.
what have people put in as
In
the answer?
a very unscientific data report back to you, Jennifer, it appears that blue is by far the leading specific color. I would say maybe in second place is a focus on gold. And
Oh,
then I'm going to add into the gold category a great answer that was just bright and illuminating. Somebody called it sunny. I Sunny. I think by and large, and then we had a whole bunch of others, but I think blue was definitely the most prominent, with gold with a little hint of sunny there as well too, Jennifer.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate that you wore the team color today of blue. Thank you, Greg. We did not plan that. So yes, blue is most commonly the color associated with trust. It's also associated with honesty, loyalty, reliability. Blue is often used in websites and logos. You'll see it in branding as well to convey that sense of trust to audiences. Trust or steadfastness or security, protectiveness. You often hear people talk about wearing blue during interviews, blue suits, navy suits, things like that. Um, in addition, the reason why I have up here true as Coventry blue is during the medieval days, Coventry, England was known for dyeing specific fabrics and dyes that came from poison berries. And so the fabric was known not to fade, that type of blue and poison berries. And so they would say true as Coventry blue or true blue. So that's just something to keep in mind as you know about true and trust. So we'll move on. So what is the start of trust? When you're thinking about short-term trust, trust can be built for short-term as easy as a smile, as a laugh, as listening to each other. These are quick ways to earn a short-term trust. We see this very often in settings such as this, as conferences, or when people are giving speeches, acceptance speeches, where the speaker starts with some sort of joke. Why do they do this? They do this to get you to smile, to laugh, to try to connect with you, to find something in common with you, something to bond over with you. You also see this short-term trust kind of activity, typically in sales for material items, whether it's jewelry or clothing or a car. So you'll begin to see that kind of decoding once you know that. You'll be able to identify that in your life and in your surroundings. Let's go back a slide. But long-term trust is built and earned over time. That's when you align your actions with your words. It's layers and layers and layers of actions and deeds where there are markers of integrity along the way, where you follow through with your commitments, where maybe you recall and you remember personal aspects of people's lives and you follow up on those, where you stand by them in times of need, where you support them personally or at work. These are things, people, that it's an authentic action. It's a person-to-person connection. It's the stuff you cannot fake. And in fact, the moment when you fake it, the moment when you're just checking a box, you've lost the point of it all. You've lost the authenticity of it all. So long-term trust is something that takes time. It takes effort. It takes intention to do. Now we'll jump into some definitions. So I like to say, buy the book of Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Here are some definitions of trust. This is a noun and a verb, trust. It's a very interesting etymology of a word, right? And I've highlighted in bold some of the key aspects. So you see here reliance, character, confidence, dependence, hope. We had that word earlier today, right, with Brett. Belief, right? You see these common words. And for our smart people who like the Oxford English Dictionary, OED, you can see kind of the same sort of words that are here. Our friends at the OED, they also add an adjective here. That trust is about confidence, about being sure, safe, and secure, right? It's creating, again, that kind of environment where trust can be built, where trust can grow, where you can have trusting relationships. Moving on, I've pulled some definitions from some experts. The top one is one of my favorites. This is from Dr. Klin, who graduated from Ohio State University. And again, she talks about it in terms of it being a core of a relationship where there's this willingness of one party to be vulnerable to the actions of another. We just heard Sharon talking about her own vulnerability, and having that willingness of one party being vulnerable to another, to that expectance of two parties acting in a way that's mutually beneficial, that exchange of value, that agreed upon reliance. I'm going to trust you to do this. I'm going to depend upon you to do that. Of course, Stephen Covey, he's also very connected with trust and the study of trust. He talks about trust in terms of two dimensions, character and competence. We'll certainly come back to that. And then Brene Brown, she says trust is integrity. And she talks about trust in terms of her BRAVING acronym. And you can see that there below. For today's purposes, we're going to talk about trust. This is going to be our working definition. To confidently rely on someone or something and their credibility and integrity as a skill and a way of being. All right. So I'm going to go into the dimensions of trust. These are the 3 C's, which come from a model from Michelle and Dennis Reyna. They have two books, one about trust and betrayal in the workplace, and another book about rebuilding trust in the workplace, 7 steps to renewed confidence, commitment, and energy. We'll learn about these 3 C's, and then there's also 16 behaviors that they also outline. So they talk about the character of trust. And this again is about the individual, that they will do what they say they will do, that they can be depended upon, right? This goes back to, again, your word is your bond, that you'll come through with those kind of commitments, that you will have that kind of personal DNA to follow through with your responsibilities and what you say you will do. Then there's the capability of trust. This is around, again, competency, your knowledge, your skills, your ability to do something, to come through, to be depended upon to fulfill a task, maybe at work, to have that skill or talent to get the job done. This last one, which makes them a little bit different than Covey, is communication of trust. And I see this as something that is a real value add to this conversation, which is the communication of trust, the willingness to share or exchange information, to tell the truth. Again, that goes back to integrity, right? To admit mistakes, the ability to say, that was me, I messed up, I made a mistake, and also to maintain confidentiality. I can be trusted with that information. I can hold that information safe and secure. So these are 3 C's, 3 dimensions of trust that I find really help define the definition of trust a little bit further. Next up, I want to talk about, why is trust important? Well, there are many, many reasons why it is important, but I want to point out a specific study done by the McKinsey Group. This is a study from 2021 that still rings true today. They call it the Future Citizen Skills Study. It has 13 different skill groups that they built into, grouped into 4 different categories: cognitive, interpersonal, leadership, self-leadership, and digital. And if you look right there in the interpersonal, bingo, we have inspiring trust. So we know that it's critical in the future to continue developing relationships. We've just had a presentation, perfectly timed ahead of this one, all about vulnerability and empathy. And right after that, number 2 is inspiring trust. So we know that this is an important skill for us to develop as individuals, as leaders, as just good human people, to inspire trust. So we know it's important now, and it's going to be important for us in the future. So I want you to engage with me once more, and I'm going to ask you this question. How does trust feel? What is it like? Drop a word in chat. What does it feel like to be trusted? Or what does it feel like for you to trust someone else? I'll just give you a few minutes to drop that in chat. Let me know what you think. Greg, as you're able to, please let me know how that's going.
Well,
what's coming up.
The most prominent word here that's showing up is safe, safety, comfortable. Those all kind of go into a comparable category there as well too. Warmth or warm, calm, reliance, dependable. But safe or safety clearly is the prominent word choice being offered here by our guests.
That's great.
Happy just entered the equation.
Happy. Love that. Love that. Really good. Really good. Definitely. Safe and security. Again, those are key words that we pointed out in the definition. Safe, secure. It's certainly something that you need to feel that you have that confidence, that you have that relationship with someone else or something else to be able to rely on them, to feel that you can trust. So that's great. Thank you very much. All right. Our smart colleague and friend, Simon Sinek, he's another expert who likes to talk about trust and leadership. He certainly says trust is a feeling, right? It's this feeling towards an organization or people. He says it's that positive feeling, again, that's earned and evolved, and that has actions to prove that you are worthy. He specifically speaks about trust in the work environment. That as you're new to a company, you may not know all of the culture. You may not know the hidden values within an organization, the specific ways. And over time, those customs and traditions may be revealed to you. Everything's not revealed during orientation or onboarding, but as you become more and more a part of that organization, more and more trusted, as you more and more belong, then those things are revealed. And so trust is not something that's dictated. You can't say, okay, we're going to trust you now. Please turn on the trust, right? This is your new person. Trust them now. It just doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. It's something that's evolving over time. It's environmental. You know it when it continues to be built and you're at that point where things are being revealed to you and shared with you. You know when you're being relied upon and trusted with new information, but you also know it when the winds shift and when trust is being taken away and when trust is being pulled away and something happens and it doesn't feel good. So there are certain markers that can tell you those different things along that trust journey. So one of the things is, how does trust grow? Well, it grows one relationship at a time. It starts with you. It starts with your direct manager or supervisor, or the person that hired you in, and then it ripples out. It starts then with your peer or with your team, and then it grows out throughout your organization. But it can't jump. It can't jump a ripple. It can't jump a step there. If your organization trusts you, but your team doesn't, there's a problem. And this happened to me once. I was young in consulting. I thought I knew all the answers. I thought I was this bright rising star. And I was being moved around from different industries and different areas. And so I was being placed on a brand new team in an industry I did not know, a group of team that I had never met before, and I was asked to lead them, kind of just being placed down on them. The team didn't need me. They were nearly finished with the project. And there was certainly this gap where I was being placed by the organization and there was a lack of trust. I had just incredible personal angst and pain every time I would go to this project. It was almost like an instant headache, oh, pain in my stomach. I would push the revolving door and just say, oh, push through this, it's going to be okay. I would get up to the team site and it just would feel awful. And I knew I had to build relationships with this team if it was going to get better. And I spent a lot of time trying to get to know them, trying to understand their personal lives, trying to find that common ground, and worked really hard on that. But I still felt unwanted and really unneeded. It felt a lot like babysitting. And so I really wanted to earn their trust. And the way that I had to do it was to go to bat for them. And I was able to stand up for them. There was a point where there were some unreasonable deadlines that were placed upon them. And it was up to me to be that buffer for them. And so I was able to change the deadlines, stand up for them, get new resources, and we were able to roll up our sleeves in the consulting trenches, work together back to back. And it was only then that they really trusted me, that I became one of them, part of the team, that they let me in, and I didn't feel like that outsider. And as soon as that happened, the headache went away, the stomach pain went away, the relationships bloomed and blossomed. And it was just that point of being there for each other, being able to trust and rely on each other and build and grow that trust in that team. So we're going to make a transition now into trust for change. Now, some of us are here at the conference for the first time. I'm so glad you're here. Some of us are here in our role as change leaders, change managers. Some of us may be here for the first time, interested in change or having a new change project foisted upon us and looking for help and support. For this next session, I'm just going to call us all leaders because to me, no matter where you are in the organization, you have an opportunity to lead change. You have an opportunity to be part of guiding others through the change and sharing information to help guide the way. So I'm going to ask you to engage with me once more and answer this question. Where would you like to work? I think this is an easy question. There's a purpose behind it. I'll give you two choices. This is organization A, and this is organization B. I built out these two organizational profiles from a wonderful blog from our friend Roxanne Brown. This is called What a Trust Fall Is from Roxanne Brown, from our partners at The Change Decision, Roxanne Brown and Ed Cook. But look through these two profiles of organizations. Where would you choose to work? Organization A or organization B? Greg, can you help me? What are the answers coming in?
I absolutely can confirm 100% B, although what A's references are is that one comment was A will not be around for much longer. And then
I love
also too some admittance, right, that A is not that unusual, and and noting some people live in A, so as well too.
Yes. 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 Okay. Well, thank you. I'm not doubting your intelligence, and I'll tell you why in a moment, why I did this. But, our friend, again, Simon Sinek, he says, if you don't have trusting teams, what you do have is a group of people showing up to work every single day, lying, hiding, and faking. Sounds awful, right? A trusting team, he says, is when people feel safe, when they feel vulnerable among their own, where they can raise their hand and say, I don't know, I need more training, I'm having trouble at home, I feel scared, I need help. And that they say it with confidence so that their leaders and their boss can rush to them. That's the kind of place I think we all want to work. Now, I did this, again, not because I doubt your intelligence, not at all. I did this because it is an obvious answer. I'm providing you this list as a comparison checklist. My slides are on the platform. You'll be able to download, but you could use these two organization lists just as a self-check analysis for your own company culture. You could say, which one are we most closely aligned with? You can look at this, throughout time and say, oh, look at that activity. That's feeling a little bit more like organization A. We don't want to be over there because as Greg or someone in the comments said, it's not going to be around much long, right? That's not where we want to be. Have a conscious and pull this out and just look every now and then and say, what kind of culture do we want to have? One that encourages a trusting environment, one that will help enable creating that safe place where trust can grow, because there are lots of benefits for a trusting culture. Who benefits from a trusting culture? The employees certainly do, the company does, customers do, and it's the leadership's responsibility to create that, that environment for trust to grow. So as we advocate for change budgets, as we persuade and convince to get time up front in with our decision makers, instead of just kind of minimizing the change aspect of the budget, I'm going to share with you real reasons why trust is that essential element that needs to be built in to our change budgets, and that they go hand in hand. So I promised this in the beginning, and I'll share this with you now. Here are some of the stats that you can use to put into your business case for change. I want you to use these stats to convince your executives to spend time on building trust into your change culture. High trust companies just perform better. You can see it. It's evident in these stats. In contrast, employees at low trust companies are often bogged down by office politics, infighting. They are more likely to withhold information, hoard resources, because they don't feel safe sharing them. And as a result, decision making is slower, less effective, and cost goes up. All of these stats are from a Harvard Business Review article called How Leaders Build Trust. And Abby Lewis was the author, and she says this: if leaders aren't focused on trust, communication, collaboration, and innovation will suffer. It's pretty powerful stuff. If your executives aren't interested in innovation, if they're not interested in productivity, if they're not interested in building their company for growth, I'm not sure why they're at the top of your company. It's pretty powerful. And you, as the change leader, are there to say, this is part of our change culture. Trust is important for our change to happen. Here's another stat. This is from a Watson-Wyatt survey. And again, it shows that high trust organizations outperform low trust organizations by 286%. Look, it makes business sense. It also just makes common sense. And in truth, this is how we all want to be treated in business, whether we're on either side of that economic interaction, as buyers, as sellers, as members of a company, as the people who are buying, doesn't matter. It's also how we want to be treated in life. We want to be treated as humans who can be trusted, who are entering into a relationship of trust. So let's bring the humanity back into our interactions. Let's be authentic. Let's be transparent with our interactions. And let's bring that into our change culture. So next up, I want to share what Stephen Covey teaches us. He shares this kind of equation. Again, something you can add into your business case should you like to do that, which is when trust goes down, the speed of your business goes down and the cost goes up. Conversely, if trust goes up, the speed of your business goes up and the cost goes down. This makes a powerful business case for trust, assuring that it's just not a soft, nice to have kind of quality. It produces real business outcomes. And I'm going a little bit further. I'm going to add in just a little more, saying it's just a better way for business, for employees, and customers. You can see that when you do this, respect goes up, employee engagement goes up, customer service goes up. When that happens, more sales, more growth, more innovation, and your business goes further. And as I said, it's just a better way of life. When trust is involved, everything is just better. So I'm going to ask you, why does trust matter in times of change? Who do you turn to when you're going through a change? Well, we turn to people we trust. When companies are enacting change, they are putting you, their high-performing team, at the most critical point, the point of change and the point of transition. Let's consider the upcoming Olympics in Paris this summer. And that famous track event, the 4x100 or the 4x400, that relay event with that baton handoff. Oh, I love that event. The most critical point is that handoff, right? There's a great deal of practice and trust with the top performing athletes. And that's what we are. We are the change leaders. We are those top performing change leader athletes for our organizations. We are that. And this is why trust must be built ahead of change. It's essential. It's not a soft, nice to have. Because if not, if trust is not there, oh, this is what you get. Oh, ack, yuck. Oh, it's like that dropped baton. What do you see when they drop the baton? Oh, it's just excruciating. It's painful. It's difficult. It's grinding. It's grit in the wheels. Oh my gosh. We know this pain as change managers. When it is not working, we know how difficult that can be. We know it all too much. We likely have worked hard against those difficult resistance. We often maybe have said, please trust me, it's going to be okay. And what we do in those moments is we apply our expertise as change leaders, change experts, change practitioners. We know what to do to ease the situation, to manage and to lead that change. We use our tools and we apply this expertise. Now, this is just a list. It's not the full list of everything we do. Good Lord, that would be many, 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 many slides long and the teeniest, tiniest of font for sure. But we empathize, we explain, we listen, we make sense of things, we guide others, we help them believe, we help them have faith, we help them trust before, during, throughout the change, as we go through all of those curves and winding ways, and after, the trust is stronger. What does change look like with trust? Oh, it's like the song, it's a beautiful day. Oh, we feel so good when change has trust involved, right? We feel that opinions matter. New ideas are coming in. We are all learning together. We sit there and say, I don't know. I'm not sure of this. We have created that safe space of trust. We can admit mistakes. I tried that. It failed. I'm still not an expert at it. Help me learn it again. I need to practice this, right? We have that safe space, even though things are uncertain, even though we're still helping guide people through the fog to get to the new future. We are committed to learning that new way. All of those things are aspects of what change can look like when we have trust involved. So, how do we build trust before change? Well, I'm going to give you a few examples. First, as an individual, it does go back to credibility and behavior. The credibility side is the IQ side. So you can see here, it's that capabilities, it's the driving for results, it's the intent, it's your integrity, all of those things together. The behavior side is more around your EQ side, how we do what we do, how we interact, how we react, how you control your emotions, how you know the interfaces with others. But then when you add in a team component to building trust, now my opinion is that you're adding in a commitment because you have that reliability on others. You have that dedication, that follow through, that loyalty, the alignment that you need to be in sync with a group of people, a team of people. So there's another element there when you're building trust with a team. Now, all of this is important because it takes courage. It takes courage to build trust because there's a cost and a consequence when it is lost. When we depend on a leader or a family member or a friend, we can feel vulnerable, and we need trust because it helps us manage any kind of anxiety feeling that we have. And when trust is present, things go really well. But when trust is lost, that relationship can be at risk, right? And it takes a long time to build that. So it takes courage to build it, and it takes that knowledge that we're building something that could be broken. So it takes time every day, all the time, to continue to build the layers upon layers of trust in that long-term relationship. Now, I'm going to ask you to engage with me again. We come from many different places with different experiences, and your viewpoint is valuable to this group and to me. And I'd love to hear from you. So please share in this group, where are you from and what behaviors are necessary for you to build trust? What do you need in order to trust someone? And if you want to take some time, you may want to write it down on a piece of paper, maybe write 3 different things and share at least one in the chat with our group. So, Greg, if you want to come back on and let me know what we're seeing in the chat. So, I'm asking, what's necessary for you to build trust with others? What are your signs of trust behavior?
Honesty, clarity, transparency,
Yes, yes, good, good.
consistency, connection,
Action. Nice. Excellent. What else?
providing the whys,
Very good.
vulnerability, compassion,
Mm,
caring,
great. Great.
authenticity that's been mentioned in several different ways along the way as well here too. Curiosity.
Ooh, nice one. Nice
Mm-hmm.
one.
Yeah.
Great.
Sense of being fair and
Great.
fairness. So many
Good
great
one.
answers for sure. And integrity, of course. Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Please keep populating. I appreciate your insights. I'll continue on with the presentation, but please feel free to jot that down on paper for yourself, for some self-reflection, and continue to share and chat. I welcome your input. I'll share for you the Covey, Stephen Covey again, he has 13 behaviors of trust, and he breaks them down into two areas, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, around character and competence. So it's a little bit of a mix of both towards the end, but you can see here, we touched on a couple here: transparency, certainly, commitments, respect, accountability we saw there. So very good, very smart mix here. And if you want more information on this, there's certainly some resources in my references for you. And then next up, I wanted to share with you Michelle and Dennis Reyna. They have 16 in their trust and betrayal model. So these are their signs of trust behavior. And in the handouts that I have on the platform, I did a small comparison between Covey and the Reyna model. It's just one interpretation, but it allows you to kind of do a crosswalk between the two models so that you can see where they overlap and where the Reyna model goes a little bit further, and what stands out there. You'll see here fairness and respect. So I think those were some that came up in our chat as well. And then for those of you who are ACMP members and CCMP certification holders, this should be familiar. This comes from our standard. And I just want to point out to you, we have these 4 duties of honesty, responsibility, fairness, respect. And so they align quite nicely with both of the trust models. Now, we're moving into our third and final segment, which is excelling at trust. For me, I want to share with you that I believe trust is a lifestyle. You work at it every day as a leader. Don't wait until there's an issue or emergency, or when that thick rope becomes thin or frayed. It's something you should do all the time. So what happens when trust is lost? Well, everything feels like eggshells. Things are questioned, people start doubting, things are slowed, feelings are hurt, regression happens. There's all kinds of lying or faking, avoidance. It's just not a great place to be. So how can we avoid that? How can we rebuild that? How can we make sure that we move forward? Well, I'll share 2 ways to do this. Again, one as an individual. First, it starts by admitting something is wrong, right? You need to remain calm. You need to listen. You need to make amends. And by that, I mean an authentic apology, creating that space to really hear what's going on, really work with the person who has been wronged, to make that authentic apology, and to be patient. What's most important is taking that responsibility for your actions and for your reactions, because when trust is lost, feelings really get hurt. And people tend to believe that whatever happened was intentional. But by sharing, hey, this hurt me, the person may admit, like, that wasn't at all what was intended. And we might begin to see things differently. And we might begin to realize that their intention was not what we imagined. And that may be able to help repair that breach quickly if it was a simple misunderstanding. And things can be very difficult if things get unraveled to a point where they can't be repaired. So it may be difficult to initiate those conversations, But if we're not able to do that, things can get really lost, things can get really messy. But if we seek each other out to inquire about what happened, although it may feel awkward, it may feel really risky, it may feel very vulnerable, this is what leaders do. This is what we do when we put ourselves forward to grow, to respect that other human being, to say, I know something is wrong here and I want to make it right. So being vulnerable also means that you are respecting the other person's needs as well. So make sure that you're there to take responsibility for your actions and any reactions that you had. The worst thing you can do is not stick around, desert, stick your head in the sand like an ostrich, ignore it, let it fester, and let it grow. That's not leadership. How to rebuild as a leader? Well, it's a little bit more complicated. You have more work to do because you're usually involved with a team of people to support. And it's your job to create that environment and that culture to protect and preserve. Remember, you lead the way for trust to grow. So there are similar steps here of what you can do, but you're responsible for being there. Some things that I would point out here is really listening and gathering all the information from all of the parties. Certainly shouldering the blame because, again, you're responsible for that space, for building that team, for supporting the team and the rebuild. Um, you're there also to initiate the amends. It's not, it may not be your place to say the apologies, but you create that environment and that place for it to happen. I'd also point out number 8, communicate regularly. It's your job to be there, to check in. How is it going? Is it growing? Is it growing to the point where you can trust again? Are you building that trust back? Um, and number 9, establish and enforce new measures. Was the trust breakdown because there was a breakdown in a process? Is there something new that you can put in place so it doesn't happen again? And then inspire confidence in the way forward. What can you do to make sure that it doesn't happen again? Remember always that trust can be earned, it can be lost, but it also can be regained. It may take a lot of work for it to be regained, but it's up to you as the leader to create that space, to create that environment, and to work not only with the 2 people where the trust broke down, but with the whole team to invest in that relationship. Because if people are not quickly at a point where they can rebuild the relationship, they generally let it fester or they just move on. They just move on and it gets ignored. And if it gets ignored, it will not improve. It will not get better. It must have attention and it must have light shed on it so that it can come to a resolution. So, how to lead with trust? Leaders determine the environment and they set the tone for setting the boundaries and fostering the culture. And therefore, all things flow from leadership, what they accept and what they call out as unimportant. So we have to have trust and belief and confidence and reliability in those actions. So being honest, aligning words with actions, and communicating clearly. When to build trust? build it every day. I've said this on and on. It's something that we take as a lifestyle thing, it's a skill thing, it's a way of being. It should be part of your DNA as a change leader and a trusted advisor. When I started this presentation, I said, hey, trust is the most important element to successful change, and I truly believe it is. You must have trust. Our ability to build trust is what makes change a reality. Trust is what makes change possible. So there are a few things you have to have before change: awareness, understanding, belief, confidence, and trust. I hope that you will join with me in building a little bit of a change culture that is trust-filled. If you have a chance, I know our time is running out, but if you have a chance to put into chat what you would want in a trust-filled culture, please drop that in chat. And Greg, if I could just finish with one more slide. So when we started, I showed you a layered, unfinished stone wall. And as we work together as change practitioners, my hope is that this now becomes our future trust wall, one with many colors, many shapes, many experiences, firmly put together and together as one. So I just want to thank you. Let's continue our conversation. And remember to reach out to me about all the trust symbols that were dropped into this presentation. Thank you so much. Greg, over to you.
Well, Jennifer, you're getting so much love in the comments, not just now, but all the way throughout. You really, I think, prick people's conscience. And just on behalf of everybody, I just want to say thank you for both your passion and compassion. The way that you shared just such a vivid way for us to understand this and gain more insight. So thank you for all of that. There are several questions that I think everybody will benefit from. And so we do not have the benefit of time right now. But as I think Mandy put in the chat, what we're going to ask Jennifer to respond to those questions here within the conference website and share more of her perspectives around that then as well too. So thank you everybody for your questions and your great insights as well too. So thank you, Jennifer. I would just ask attendees, please fill out your session surveys. And there you go with that. Thank you for that prompt, that visual prompt. And then lastly, a reminder for you all that our next live session will be a sponsored demo from JTask. And that's going to be happening live in just over an hour at the top of the hour, which is 4 o'clock. I'm sorry, in 13 minutes. I had my time zones mixed up. In top of the hour here in just a few minutes here as well too. So everybody, thank you and continue to enjoy your learning.